If you're currently struggling with acquiring clients for your SaaS, this is the video for you. So let's go ahead and see what we currently have on the list here, right? So number one is cold email. In terms of a B2B SaaS, cold email is one of the most effective methods in terms of reaching your target ICP to get them to convert into a SaaS plan. So for me, cold emails, I would put it at S tier. And the reason why is because even if it depends on your SaaS, whatever niche, whatever vertical, you can reach them via cold email. The only downside of cold emails is a lot of inboxes are going to be flooded with a bunch of cold emails, right? So the main thing that separates you in cold emails will be your copy and also the unique angle that you have in terms of comparing yourself to competitors. So for me, it's still an S tier. And number two is cold calls. Depending on the niche that you're currently in, if it's not a cold call or phone related service in terms of like local contractors, it would be very easy to reach them via cold call. Or if it's realtors, they are constantly on their phones. But if it's more so targeting like SaaS companies, I would say cold call is not necessarily the best. So it really depends on what your SaaS currently is. Can you even reach your desired ICP via calls? So I would put this at B tier. And one downside of cold calls is you have to hire cold callers or you have to do cold calls yourself. So it's not as scalable as the other methods listed in the unranked section. So I'll go ahead and put this at B tier. And the next up on the list is paid ads. So for paid ads, it's number one for me. I try to get to paid ads as fast as humanly possible because whenever you put $1 in and you've cracked paid ads, maybe you get $10 out, $20 out. So it's very scalable. You don't need anybody to manage the cold email campaigns. You don't need anybody to manage actually calling up your ICP. So paid ads is one of the most scalable methods of client acquisition in SaaS. However, it really depends on your pricing because with paid ads, you ideally want to acquire a client and whatever that client pays upfront, you can acquire that second, third, fourth, fifth client as well. So with paid ads, you might have to switch up your offer a little bit. You might have to give a more incentive, but you collect more cash upfront. Whether it's an annual deal or it's a monthly deal on top of a setup fee where you'll set the entire SaaS up for your customer, you really have to be creative with paid ads to the point where it's an irrefusable offer and all your clients want to sign on. So for paid ads, I'll put this at S tier. And next up on the list is webinars. So webinars is also very, very scalable, but usually to drive traffic to a webinar, it's either through partnerships or running paid ads for the webinar. For beginners, I would say webinars aren't necessarily the easiest to crack. There's a lot of different things that you have to do in order to make sure you have a successful webinar. You have to maximize the show up rate, you have to maximize the amount of people on your list. But there's definitely softwares out there where you can run a webinar where you actually don't have to be live. You could just have it running on a weekly cadence of a pre-recorded webinar. So for webinar, I would say it's more so of A tier. It still requires putting money behind paid ads, but webinar is also very, very scalable. You could pitch 1 to 100, 1,000 people in that webinar. So it's very, very scalable. And then next on the list is affiliates. So I've done videos on affiliates in terms of how Go High Level has paid out probably 90 million at this point to affiliates. And affiliates is very, very good because it's basically word of mouth on steroids. Affiliates, if you can crack it, if you could get a big affiliate network, usually if your affiliate network is huge, you have to hire an affiliate manager. But there's definitely softwares out there in the space where you could hire affiliates. But for affiliates, I'll definitely put this at S tier because essentially they're the ones promoting your product. And if they get people to sign on, you pay them afterwards. So it's as scalable as ads in that sense. So I'll put this at S tier. And then the next up on the list is partnerships. So partnerships for me, I would say affiliates are probably one of the best, but partnerships really depends on the type of SaaS you have. If a partnership even makes sense, there's definitely a lot of SaaS companies that's created millions upon millions of dollars in revenue just from partnerships. So partnerships, I'll put it in the same tier as affiliates. Partnerships is more so with bigger companies. Affiliates would be more so with creators and micro influencers in your niche. So I'll put this at S tier. And then next up on the list is SEO. So with SEO, a lot of people I've seen in the indie hacker community or on Twitter, they focus a lot on SEO. The one problem is, at least for me, whenever I start a SaaS project, I want to collect as much cash upfront as possible. With SEO, it probably takes 6 months to 12 months to even build up. So SEO is definitely very important in the long run. But in the short term, if you really want that momentum to get a lot of cash upfront, so you can start hiring out a team, hire out some closers, hire out some appointment setters, SEO is more so on the back burner. So for SEO, I would go ahead and put this at B tier. Next up on the list is YouTube content. YouTube is one of the best, even SEO methods out there, because with YouTube, it has a very high domain authority. So whenever you create a specific video for your niche, a lot of people are going to be able to search that up and they're spending time with you. So they have that trust and authority. You build that up through your YouTube content. So YouTube is very, very important for your SaaS. However, I would say that YouTube is a complement of running paid ads as well. So whenever you run paid ads, you can shoot them over some YouTube content. Even if it's 3 videos, 4 videos, it's super important to have that YouTube content out there. That way you can build up that trust and they see your face to face. So if you're the only closer or the only salesperson at your company, they get to know more about you prior to the call. But I'll still say YouTube is relatively slow in terms of acquiring clients. In the long term, it's very, very important because you have that brand authority. So I'll go ahead and put YouTube at A tier. Next up is podcasting. Nowadays with podcasting, it's super important, but I still would say YouTube probably trumps over podcasting. Podcasting, I'll still think that most people nowadays, they want that visual element of seeing your face and also walking you through your screen of podcasting. But podcasting, of course, also builds that authority. But I think podcasting is not as big for the SaaS community as YouTube. So for me, I would go ahead and put podcasting as B tier. Next is LinkedIn outreach. So LinkedIn outreach, maybe if it's a B2B SaaS company, but the thing with LinkedIn outreach is you can't really push volume. And the thing with getting more subscribers, getting more customers to your SaaS is you need as much volume as possible. You need to pitch your offer as much as possible so that way people actually know about you and they know about the product that you have. With LinkedIn, you're going to be restricted on every single account. You can only send a certain amount of outreach messages per day on LinkedIn. And if you want to send more, you have to hire an agency where they'll do some gray hat, black hat things to buy LinkedIn accounts, warm them up and use that for outreach. But it's a very big pain for LinkedIn to send that at big volume. So I would go ahead and put that at C tier. And next up on the list is networking events. So for the general consensus, I would say networking events is super important to meet other like-minded entrepreneurs, especially in the software space. But networking events won't necessarily get you a lot of customers. There could be one person you meet and you develop a partnership with them at networking events, but networking events, essentially, you can't really pitch one to many. You can build long-term friendships, long-term partnerships where you might work with someone you met at a networking event down the line. But I would say networking events, when you first start a SaaS and you want to acquire that first 1,000 customers, it's not as important. So I'll go ahead and put that at C tier. And next up is AppSumo. So if you watch my current other videos on the channel, you know that Instantly grew very big from AppSumo at first. And for most SaaS companies, AppSumo, just putting a product out there, lifetime deal, it makes sense, but you can't really rely on AppSumo to get that monthly recurring revenue. The big thing with SaaS is a lot of people like that ARR, they like that MRR. And the reason why is because it's recurring. With lifetime deals, your company is not going to be valued as high whenever you do try to exit. So AppSumo might be important depending on the SaaS. If it's very low ticket, maybe you can sell a lifetime deal. But for the most part, the reason why you have a SaaS is you want that recurring revenue. So I'll go ahead and put AppSumo at B tier. And next up on the list is Product Hunt. I think a lot of people in the SaaS space, especially indie hackers, they're over-indexing on Product Hunt. They expect that they put a post on Product Hunt and they're going to get subscribers. But in reality, a lot of people on Product Hunt might just be interested. They might not even be the target ICP. They might just be interested in how your tech of your software company works. So for Product Hunt, I would still say it would be C tier for me. It really depends on the niche you're in, but Product Hunt, you post once, maybe you get 100 users and one of them or two of them pay, depending on your conversion rates. But for the long term, we shouldn't over-index on Product Hunt and expect a miracle. You want to be good at business. You want to be good at managing a team, being good at marketing and sales in order to grow your SaaS. Product Hunt, maybe you get lucky, you rank number one, get some customers, but for the long term, you still need to be good at marketing and sales. So that'll go ahead and go in C tier. Next up is UGC and short form. B2C, short form UGC is super, super good because B2C is generally lower ticket, $5 a month, $10 a month. But with B2B SaaS companies, they're not going to trust you over a very short 10-second, 20-second video. But UGC is still pretty important to just have eyeballs on a certain channel or a certain Instagram account that you have, a certain TikTok account. And that way you can funnel them in from Instagram stories. You can funnel them in to your YouTube videos. You can funnel them in to webinars. But still, for the most part, whenever you begin, UGC and short form content is not that important in the B2B space. The people that you work with in B2B are business owners. They probably don't have time for short form content. They're not going to doom scroll on TikTok and Instagram all day. So for short form content, I would go ahead and put that at B tier. The only positive of short form is it could still funnel into the webinars, or you could retarget them with paid ads. Next up is press and PR. Press and PR gives you authority, but I'll still say press and PR is not important at all whenever you first begin, because you just need customers, right? If you first launch, you'd have no email list. You want to make a press release. You want to make a PR. It's not super important, and it might not get you a lot of customers. A lot of YC companies, a lot of their customers come from word of mouth and press and PR. But if you're a bootstrap founder, some press, some PR might be cool. You can link that on your website. You got featured in Forbes, but for the most part, it's not super important because you can't really control or push volume with press and PR. You'll need to pay people to make a press release, but for the most part, I would still say it's not very important. So I'll go ahead and put that at C tier. And the last thing on our list is word of mouth. And with SaaS companies, word of mouth is super important. The only thing is word of mouth, it's hard to control and it's hard to track. So word of mouth is the reason why SaaS companies are growing to like billion-dollar valuations, right? But the thing is, for me, I don't really have control over word of mouth. I can make a product so good that word of mouth is important, but whenever I first launch, I don't even know if I have product market fit. So word of mouth is not super important. Down the line, it's definitely very, very crucial to have word of mouth, to have a product that people love. But to launch, I would still say it's more so of A tier to S tier, depending on your current stage of your SaaS company. That's pretty much it for this list. In the description, I'll go ahead and attach a link to my Skool community where SaaS owners can go ahead and network with other SaaS owners and just discuss your struggle in the Skool community. So if you like this video, go ahead and comment down below of any other videos you want to see. Hit a subscribe to keep up to date with all the videos I push out, and I'll see you in the next video.